Security compliance auditors love to tout their ability to produce quality reports. But when it comes to SOC 2 or any compliance framework, what does quality really mean? One aspect of report quality is the ability to adjust expectations for controls to the actual risks faced by the organization. Many auditors will look and expect to see a standard set of controls for each framework, and if one isn't there, will be inflexible. This results in either forcing the client into a compliance framework that doesn't make sense to them, forcing them to go out of their way to check the box, or to write up a needless control failure on the report. One concrete example of this concerns the controls around change management. Over the past 20 years, we've seen a lot of change in the way that software changes are done and the way that security for those changes is done. So where with traditional environments, you had highly segregated infrastructure versus software and completely separate teams to manage the code development versus deployment, today's teams are often much more integrated. So teams that embrace the rapid and agile development methodologies needed the flexibility to build and deploy quickly and by the same people. So let's look at how this change would impact the SOC 2 controls in this area. For the traditional environment, you'll likely have a separate control statement to say that infrastructure changes are tested and approved prior to being released. And then you'll have a separate control for application changes that they'll be tested and approved, because oftentimes the process is different. You'll have control about the segregation of environments, but what this whole control set really hinges on is differentiating access between the developers and those who are releasing changes into their production environment, ensuring those two parties stay separate. And a more modern control set hinges on requiring all changes to go through a certain source code repository and requiring that those undergo a merge request, and then ensuring that merge request is configured with certain checks prior to a change being allowed to be released into production, such as status checks, static code analysis, validation in a separate environment, or approval by an independent member of the engineering team or developers. You could add on a control requiring either manual or automated review of those configurations to ensure those source code repositories are configured according to your baselines. And you're still going to want to have an access control to ensure that those who do have permissions to release are authorized personnel.